welcome all Black African people looking for your spiritual home. This is our first lesson here, our first recording, and we receive questions regarding spirituality, African spirituality, from individuals who may not know their lineage, they may not know their cultural contemporary expression of African religion or African spirituality, and they're experiencing some types of difficulties or some things that may seem unethical. So this platform here, as we know, Shefun is a concept that explains or depicts holistic, deified purity. So everything we do is pure, pure ritual, pure prayer, pure psychic energy, pure spirituality, pure religion, and pure religious expression. So we don't do any of the toxic spirituality. We don't do the toxic expression of African sociology, African psychology. Everything that we do here is from a purified point of view, and of course our background. We've been doing this for years. So if it's undergraduate studies in psychology, graduate certificate studies in mental health counseling, we've been studying under Obatala, decoding and learning the ethics and the philosophy of Ifa. Switched over to 16 Kairis, trained by a highest ranking priest of Ogun on 16 Kairis there, initiated in Oyo by the RA of Obatala. So the things that we're saying, they're messages and then their wisdom and guidance that's based on actually living in the practice. So we get a lot of questions. We see a lot of material specifically pertaining to Obatala that is said by people who are no way initiated into Obatala. They don't study Obatala. They take Orisha as if they're Greek gods and give one sentences and say, this is what these things are. So people speak about their deity and they have no relation to them, or they don't have that intricate personal understanding of what this Orisha is. So we get questions from time to time and we clarify some things to help people navigate themselves accordingly and find some type of spiritual foundation and balance. So we understand that individuals may not be from the Yoruba, Isheshe, the Africans of Benin, Togo, Nigeria. Of course, we were one of the most populous African ethnicities that was dispersed throughout the transatlantic slave trade. So you can find us in Cuba, North America, South America, the islands, UK, so forth and so on. So we know that there are several other brothers and sisters of different ethnicities that was also taken as prisoners of war due to the whites. So of course, we have brothers in Ewe and Fon and Akan, so forth and so on. And some individuals may not be able to identify where they left off at. So the first important thing of studying African religion and African culture, true spirituality, is that you need to know what bloodline you incarnated last. So there's a whole lot of New Age spirituality movements, and they don't mention that. And some things are not African oriented, and they have no access to certain types of information. But that's first. So this is what this platform is for. All Black African people, you can ask your questions, and we can answer your inquiries, and hopefully that you can find a balance in some type of pure expression of your culture, initiated or not. Some things everyday people can do that are so simplistic. As long as your intentions are pure, you'll be led in the right direction. So this year, we have this message that was sent to us, and I'm glad that I got a chance to wait and go at it again, because some things were clarified as we did some more research into the person that sent this one a direct message, which we won't disclose this person's name, on live. So this person calls herself Queen So-and-so. So this individual contacted me and asked me, is this consistent? I'm not sure if what this woman is saying is correct. And this is the thread by Queen So-and-so. She says, greetings, sis. I'm sorry. In some of these, the grammar, I'm reading it to you as they're typing it. So it sounds kind of funny. Please excuse me. I'm trying to translate to what this person is saying. So she says, greetings, sis. I guess we hope that you shouldn't feel that I'm bothering you. I can't just inbox for no reason if I'm permitted. Can I tell you what I sense? And the person replied, well, what do you sense? Beloved, you are aware that there's bad and negative energy surrounding you lately, and it's coming from someone very close to you, either a family member or a close friend out for envy or jealousy. So this person continued to respond. She did the face emoji, and they replied, "There's really a lot of envy around you, and that is coming from someone so close to you. You have really been a person of pure heart, and your aura shines so bright." The person replied, "Who could it be?" Well, this envy is because they're full of something, and there's an icon that's in front of it. NESS. So I think it's, and I don't know what this is, and I think it's kindness or something. So you're full of kindness and you're humble, so they find you as a threat. So the person replies, there is a revelation that was shown about you, honey, and we need to tackle this before it's too late. Revelation means a divine or supernatural disclosure of humans of something relating to human existence. There is a revelation of death I got for you, honey. We've got to pray and do some positive cleaning, honey. I won't allow such things to happen in your life, honey, the person says. And the person replied, "Death? Question mark, exclamation point. Yes, sis, this revelation was so real, honey. We need to do some light work and cleansing to stop this bad omen from happening, honey. And how do we do that? And how much does it cost?" The person replied, "We're going to do a 4-step cleansing for you and your loved ones, honey, to cast away the spirit of death. It will cost a lot of money," the person replied, "and it will cost a lot for the materials, but for your caring and loving heart, there's a way we can go for it. It will cost up to $120, honey, because it's a 4-step cleaning. Very bad omen, honey, and we need to cast away death." And so this person replied, "I'll speak to my Ifa sister and see what she says." The person replies, "We got to be very fast at stopping it. I will intercede first on your sake. And I will do these things, honey. It is very big work. So we are doing it all with the priestess here in the temple. So there'll be so much to help for your sake." And the person replied, "Thanks." So there's a couple of things that are going wrong with that poem. And we'll work from, bottom up. So one that this person said, we're working with a lot of, priestess in the temple. And I know sometimes there's a lot of gender issues, and some of it is constructed and is made. Of course, we know some of the movements, a lot of these political movements in the United States are made by CIA agents. So sometimes there's a need to where people say, "Oh, I don't want men in this circle," or when you see certain people will say, "We don't need women in this circle," to where it's only a monotheistic, a mono or a one gender priesthood. So that right there is already a red flag for me. Number one is because we know that for certain rituals and certain rites, you must have men and women present. Now I get it. There may be some societies such as Oro, or there may be certain things that happen, or like women's societies and stuff like that. We get that, but for temple work and spiritualists, there's typically a mix between men and women. Of course, with initiations, women must be present. Women must be singing the songs of the Pipe of Obatala, and that presence is needed. There must be men and women included in certain type of rituals or rites. Then this person said that I'm going to intercede on your behalf. No person, I believe, ethically or morally can't do any work for you without having your consent prior. And this person didn't ask for this person's consent. This person just said, "We're going to do some spirit work here, and we'll intercede on your behalf." So at first I thought about, okay, well, maybe this person kept on saying honey, 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 and this person kept on saying, about the price is going to be really expensive, but it's only going to cost $120. So we know in the United States, $120 is not a lot of money. So I immediately thought, okay, well, maybe this is English as a second language person. And I'm not saying that to be detrimental or negative, because English is not the catalyst of all language of the world. But to me, it was a red flag to saying, hey, this can possibly 409, Yahoo boards, or some type of scammer. Doing my research into this person, no, that's not the case. This person is local, and it could be they could have problems with spelling or grammar or mastery of the language. But some things that did come to mind is that when you're seeing this person, is that it's an almost type of aesthetic, a non-cultural aesthetic, and to me, this is another bigger problem. Where we're looking for reputable ritualists, is that this person had no icons or no type of aesthetic that kind of message as an insignia that this person belongs to a particular culture, right? And so when you see a lot of things that are just done in a very sporadic manner, to me, a couple of flags go off. So if we see anything Native American, crystal gems and feathers and things that may not specifically tied to an African expression, I automatically think, okay, this is a problem here. That we know that the very first thing that one should do in the African tradition is to understand what lineage did you come from, because people heal and people communicate with deities in a geographic specific and a culturally specific manner. So, for an example, if we know that Oya is a deity that possesses storms and wind. We know that Oya, that she is the queen. Sorry, the wife of Shango. We know that she is the one that is desirable of war. She's the one that's operationalized to confront, to engage, to expel. The one that's always roaring. The woman that's more fearsome than her husband. That will fight until the end and blows away all different types of negativity. So that's Oya, that they have windstorms, and sometimes she has an icon as a tornado. But we know that this same deity is worshipped as Wachet in Kemet, and it's the same thing. So Wachet is the same thing, desirable of war, the one that will continue to fight, the one that is the wife of the king, Heru, as Oya was the wife of the king, Shango, who has a sister wife, which is the one that protects the home, that protects the hearth, the one that wears white. So that's Nekebet, or that's Orisha Oba and Yoruba. And the one that spirals and that's operationalized to repel, to engage, to fight, because she's seen as a cobra, and the cobra spirals, and the cobra is the one that keeps negativity away from folks, and it's spitting fire. So we see that it's the same form of energy, but it's expressed in a culturally specific fashion, right? So there's ways that we propitiate a deity in one culture that may be taboo in another. So for an example, we know from the stories in Ifa that Obatala's taboo is black. He cannot wear any black clothing, and there's an essay that actually speaks about that specifically when he was engaging in war. So this same deity is called Aswusi in Akan. In Aswusi, some of those practitioners, they can wear black no problem, right? So what's acceptable in one may be taboo in the next, but you don't know where to start or where one ends and the other begins if you have no cultural foundation of how to move forward in this praxis. Another thing is that, of course, Obatala and Yemu, we have clear sight. We have Ajay, and some people think Ajay is witchcraft and spells and conjuring, and what the Europeans would think witchcraft is, but it's really a higher level of psychic power, and there's 3 different levels of psychic power. So a lot of folks speak about things that they don't have access to, and they're not related to a deity that possesses it. So with that is that when you see something, they're going to tell you specifically who it is. So for an example, we had clients to where we would see someone trip, slip, fall, bust their head open in the dream state, and the very next day we're the first person that consoles this person as they slip and fell in the hallway. We will be directed to someone who's crying, who's looked like they're in need of help, and this individual, as I didn't know what was the reason for what did they need help with. So sometimes it's kind of awkward, and I learned from experience, if you have a message about someone specifically, is that you are obligated to give that message. And a lot of people would disagree with me. Some folks are not in Oshafunfun. Some people are in other cults that may not deal with this psychic or spiritist phenomena. But to me, the only reason why I know something is not to be nosy and start picking my nose in everybody's business. The reason why Obatala and Yemu are telling me is because they need me to interact on their behalf. So I would see someone and they're crying or they're looking quite depressed with their child or their sister, and the name of the child is written on the side of a school bus, so I know that this is this person. And I would respond like, hey, typically Obatala sends me to people who may need some support or may be struggling with something. So I'm not asking for any money. I'm not soliciting any service for you. I'm not asking if to get a reading or nothing. I'm just here to see if you need any help. You can talk to me, right? And so this person disclosed that she said, hey, you may have heard, which I did not, because I don't really kick it with that community no more, is that I was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I'm really questioning my faith, right? So they're going to tell you clearly and specifically what the problem is. Now, a good Babalao, before he passed, a good young man, he would say that, in these dreams, they will tell you what to do to heal that person, right? They'll tell you something to do, an herb to give or something. And sometimes my dreams weren't that clear to where I didn't get the remedy, but they will show me what was going on. So I would see, like, someone covered in a white sheet. The very next day, someone would die that was close to me. I would see someone in the corner, where it's a woman, an old woman dressed in all black, and they're going like this to somebody in the corner. I would wake up. I didn't know this person. They're in another state. And it was that this person was contemplating suicide. And I was able to give that message to kind of alleviate that pain. Last one recently that just happened, I want to say last week, is I had a dream with a sister, and I thought that so sometimes the people in the dream can represent the deity or can be the literal person. So this is a Oshun Iyalorisha. So I wasn't sure if it was Oshun or the Iyalorisha specifically. So we had a dream about leaving one area here in the DC metro area, and something was happening. Like, we needed to leave the past in the past, and there was some type of turbulence. And so there was a turbulent scenario. So there was tornadoes that were coming. I have reoccurring dreams to where I'm in tornadoes, but they never harm me. And they come through, and I can feel the wind, I can hear the debris, I can hear things cracking, but I'm never harmed in these tornadoes. So again, it's kind of awkward and it's uncomfortable. So I would wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I got to give this message. So I'm like, peace, Ekaro, Kasao, EI, I had this dream about you. And if it applies, cool. But if not, you can disregard it. And I'm like, I don't know if this is for you or this is for me. So I told her the dream. And immediately the sister replied and said, your dream was 100% accurate. What you told me was exactly what I was going through. She's like, everything is all blessings, but we're going through a difficult time, and I'm questioning certain type of things. But what you said was exactly what I was going towards, exactly what I was thinking of, and exactly what I was going through rather. And so, that kind of made me feel a little more, it built my confidence. So I know that something that I'm receiving clearly, that it means something to this person. And then also when we're speaking about Aj, is that there's also, like, when you're standing in front of someone, you could read someone's aura field. That's like a lower level psychic power, right? This person was in Ghana, and we're sitting there in the East Coast of the United States. So I had a message that was sent the same day to somebody in another continent. So it's some messages that are being spread throughout the magnetic sphere. So when we're thinking about Aj and witchcraft and stuff like that, that's not what that is. It's a higher level psychic power to project or to receive. And me being able to get that message, that is the efficacy of a good, Baba Osha or Iya Osha. So I hope you're starting to see what I'm illustrating here is that when you get a message, they're gonna tell you explicitly and specifically what the issue is and what someone needs to mediate that situation. So sometimes it's not always, blood and ritual and stuff like that. Sometimes people just need an uplifting word. Some people are going through depression. Some people are suicidal. Some people have anxiety. Some people have a major depressive episode. There's so many things that people go through. And when we have charlatans that misrepresent the culture, it really annoys me. And people are calling themselves, kings and queens. And these terms, are not metaphors. These are literal terms that people are supposed to train for. And so when we see people like this, we have to call it out and call it for what it is, right? Another thing that is, a red flag is that this person doesn't say who told them this information. So it's this big myth with the New Age community, New Age spiritualists, the people who have no spiritual foundation, and so forth, and they're just dabbing in tarot and other, witchy-like aesthetics, is that they would say, spirit said this, spirit said that, spirit wanted me to tell you this, spirit said that. So it's kind of annoying because who is telling you this information, right? Who is telling you what to say, and what validity do they have with you? Let's use this analogy for an example. Let's say if we won the Mega Millions, or we won like $1 billion, right? So would you take that $1 billion, go down to Wall Street, close your eyes, put a blindfold on, walk down the street, and just solicit anyone for their personal advice about what company you should invest your money in? that will be reckless, to say the least, right? So you would not blindly go and start soliciting information and have the expectation that everyone is going to give you the right answer. You can talk to someone who may be on drugs. You can talk to someone who has a chronic personality disorder. You can talk to some people who have good intentions, but they just don't specialize in financial education or economics. You could, mess around and ask somebody who may have, had good experience and they know a little things and so forth and so on, and you can come across some pros, right? What I'm saying is that you can't blindly enter into a place, just start soliciting information and receiving information and thinking that every bit of information that you receive is valuable advice. Irresponsible. So sometimes people think spirituality and religion are, they're nebulous, subjective kind of things, but they don't look at it as a real discipline and a real hard empirical science and study. And that is kind of the goal or the sentiment to what we want to produce here for you all here. Something that you have probably heard me said, or something that you will continue to hear me say, is that everything unseen is not divine. Everything unseen is not divine. So, one, if we don't have any spiritual foundation, two, what is almost the direct correlate is that there's no moral compass. If you don't know what culture you came from, if you're not engaging into the ritual of the deity that's seating in your head, I guarantee you that some people will flim or whim or bend rather to the ways of the secular world, to where there's no division between secular and sacred or spiritual. And it's a shame because there's almost no holiness, or they think that purity, holiness, or sacredness is something obsolete, something in the past, or it's just non-relevant. It's like almost, we're going to do as we feel. And you can just tell the people how the way that people carry themselves, the way that they carry themselves in personal relationships, business relationships, family relationships, the way that people treat their wives, the way that people treat their husbands, the way that people treat their children, the way that they treat their elders. You can tell that sacredness is almost extinct. So if you have no intention if you have no intentions to ascertain purity, and like attracts like, well, who are these people talking to? A good Akan brother used to say, he coined this term, for lack of better words, crackhead spirits. So you could cut a ram and pray to whomever and ask for something. And since that little jolt, that little quick jolt of energy, and you ask, hey, why don't you go and tell me what so-and-so is doing? Now, this thing may come back, get you some information and bring it back to you. But that doesn't mean that this person is a deity. That doesn't mean that it's an Orisha. There's a lot of sumans, or which for lack of better words, discarnate dead spirits that will act upon other people. There's some people that claim to be spiritualists, priestesses, or priests, but their characters are so poor is that they're not working with Abosom, deities of Odun. They're working with these crackhead spirits that we call these wayward spirits that will do what you ask them to do if you give them a little jolt, and they act like people can't see that. And I have dreams in the past to where there were certain ilays, certain houses, spiritual houses that were misrepresenting their icons with Orisha or deities, and deities were not living in those icons. They were wayward spirits, and they act like people couldn't see that. For example, the book of, what is this? I think it's the book of manifestations of Ra overthrowing the Pep. And I think it's also mentioned in the coffin text, to where they say when Ra was creating itself out of nothingness. And he said that, I find no place that I could stand until I put my foundations in Ma'at. And Ma'at is like Odu, it's spiritual law and order. And law and order is not man-made, right? There's African wise, right? These are spiritual laws that Orumila, Obatala were able to perceive and transmit and preserve. And these are the laws of Odu, or the laws of Ma'at. So these are spiritual laws that are here, and that we're just repeating. So if there's no law, if there's no foundation, if there's no adherence to spiritual law and order, the only thing that's going to be attracted to these people are these wayward spirits. And you can't assume that this information is correct. So these deities, the difference between a deity and these wayward spirits is that their foundation is in law and order. You can't ask an Orisha to go and, hey, can you go and kill this person? Can you go, tell me where this person hid some money at? Can you put this person to sleep so I can go and steal something out of their house? an Orisha is not going to do that for you. Now, I'm not saying Orishas are pacifists, but you can't tell them what to do. You can tell them a situation, ask for them to act on your behalf, give them wisdom, give you knowledge, and see what they do. But there's a whole lot of stuff that people are doing that are misrepresenting themselves as priestess and priest, where they're not working with any deity. And then the last part about this is that no Orisha will stay with you if your character is pure. This doesn't mean if you're initiated or not, you have a title or not. If you're doing some things that you should not do, if you have bad character, if your behavior is one that is showing that you're living a life of taboo, this deity will disengage from you and they will not work with you. And the only thing that's going to come to you is these wayward, discarnate spirits. So all this in a nutshell is telling me that when you get this okie dokie, like, okay, I'm cursed, I see stuff around you, that is more than likely a scam. There's certain things that priestess and priest will do that this person did not do. Now, I understand that sometimes we may be, severed away from, our mother father culture. However, is that your ancestors will slowly start to lead you back to where you came from. I didn't pick up and say, oh, I'm going to be Yoruba today. And I seen some people would say, oh, I like Yoruba. Some of the part is cool, but they're not into social justice like that. I'm gonna go and be Akan. It doesn't work like that. We're returning to the blood circle that we were previously incarnated into, and that's the very first step towards healing, right? And towards finding our own identity. So I get it if people may not know that, and I get it that other people may find different ways to heal. We had our own, guilds and practices during enslavement. However, now, and I'm pretty sure it was relevant back then because we did have our African identity intact before Oyotunji. We were already here throughout enslavement. So what I'm saying is that if this person if they're not telling you where they came from, their culture, or what person is talking to them, what deity is talking to them, it's a scam. For an example, is that I know when Obatala is speaking to me through dreams, his messages come really quick and really fast. He has a praise name, Fidia Juala, which means the one that moves swiftly and quickly in the spirit world. So when these dreams come real quick and they're straight and to the point, I have an idea that that's Obatala talking to me. So I can say, hey, Obatala said this. I have no question on who's giving me this information. So it comes with validity. When I see, if I have in a dream and I'm inside of my mom's house, or my aunt's house, my aunts and uncle's house, big mama house, if there's something ancestral there, and I know it's a one or two things. Sometimes they can give me a message about my family members, but 98% of the time is that this is my Egungun that's talking to me. So I had dreams to where, again, I'm in the basement of my mother's home and someone is needing some type of support. I know that my ancestors are telling me and directing me to come speak with this person. So I can say literally, the Egungun has a message for you. My ancestors have a message for you. But when this person is saying, death is near and doesn't tell you what to do about it or where to go or how can you stop death from following you, it's a red flag. The dream should tell you, unless this person is already slated and predestined to die right there, that they will tell you what to avoid, what not to do. It's simple as saying, hey, don't go down this street today. Don't catch that bus that you usually take. Why don't you go into work about 15 minutes later? You get what I'm saying? They're going to give you some type of advice to avoid death. And especially if this person is not an ordained ritualist, that they should be giving you some advice to avoid conflict. Another thing is, there's no such thing as a journal of priestess and priest in any African tradition. We don't have that. That's more monotheism. That's more European culture. You are a priest or priestess or a devotee of a specific deity. There's no such thing. I'm just a high priest or a high priestess of what? You know what I'm saying? I am, a devotee of Babalarisha, of Obatala. That's it. That's only the energy that I'm working with. That's the only energy that I'm channeling. And this is a whole nother conversation about people getting hooked into several different Orisha that they're not related to. And for one, you can't hook something in because you're born with it. You go through initiation rites to further make a commitment, but you're born with a particular Orisha. So there's a whole lot of, fraud going on about people misrepresenting themselves or asking or pursuing other Orisha that they're not related to. So in closing, This person has they did not mention which deity that they're working with. They didn't tell you anything about the circumstances of death. They didn't even tell you where it came around. I mean, why is it around you? Or they didn't tell you who is wishing this negativity or malevolence on you. They just said it was somewhere close to you. They didn't give you any remedy for it. They're asking you for money. They have no credentials. They don't tell you who they were initiated under, who they trained under, what deity are they a devotee of. It's just like, hey, I need some money. I want to keep death away from you. I get it that we're all looking to help. We're all looking to be of service. I started off at a point where I didn't know my foundation. But when you step into the word of spiritual healing, is that you're really playing with people's lives, and it's a life or death scenario. We all know that there's certain things that pop in during divination to where life or death can follow someone, or even when you're here and you cast a particular Odu, there may be some times where you have to do a ritual because this person just brought death to your door. It is very serious, and it's not just this aesthetic of looking hip, looking cool, and appearing some type of way. Us priests, we usually dress in a real simplistic, easy, manner where we don't put too much emphasis on our regalia because we're here to do the spirit work. So I hope that helps. If you all have any questions, if you feel like you received a reading that wasn't just right, or even if you received a efficacious reading and you need more clarity, shoot us an email, shoot us a message. Any questions about spirituality or guidance, this is what we're here for. Until next week, when we say Ireo, Ire is a type of blessings. All the positive things in life, blessings of spouse, children, money, happiness, joy, and all the good things in life. So we wish